Dr. Anthony G. Beck. I oftentimes will actually get asked questions in regards to posts on Facebook or the internet and things like that, which I really encourage people to do. That's what I'm here to do, is to educate, motivate, and inspire. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you how I kind of go about looking at things that people ask me to review, and teach you a couple of things on how you can come up with a really nice New Year's resolution, and that is to arm yourself with a mode of thinking that will protect you from what I call and deem all the noise and confusion of the info space. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a peek here and jump right in and take a look at what my response is going to be to this particular article and subsequent post. Okay, so here we are on Facebook, and this is the particular post. It shows a nice, lovely graphic here of a pile of chunked beef, and the statement underneath is that scientists finally discover exactly why red meat causes cancer. So scientists finally exactly cause. Interesting. Okay, so this is just fresh this morning, so it's really new and fresh, and come on down here and people can talk about stuff. And then here's the thing. Satori Prime asks me, care to shed some wisdom on these fine folks? And the reason is because lovely little discussion here, everybody talking about these kind of things, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right in here and kind of give you my rundown on why this is actually a pretty nefarious post. But here, just take a look at this. So let's go right here to the article. Again, scientists finally discover exactly why eating red meat causes cancer, by Max Chang. Now, first of all, I've actually reviewed this particular blog before, and again, remember guys, it's a blog. Okay, and the thing about it is that NetShark has a very nice brand and things like that. It's a lot of fun articles. You know, of course, you get to see all these other kind of fun things they're doing with science, but I'm saying that sarcastically. But let's just read here right to the article. It talks about this study coming out of University of California at San Diego, which I'll be at here in a couple of weeks. And humans are only the animals that have a high risk of cancer when it comes to eating red meat. Other carnivores, I wish I had that sound effect of like a car crash. First of all, humans, we are not carnivores. Carnivores are animals that eat a primarily meat diet, ergo a lion or something like that, right? Well, the thing is, we're omnivores, and so that always cracks me up. It sets an incorrect premise that just because we do consume some meat doesn't make us carnivores. We're actually omnivores, okay? So red meat naturally with no ill effects, study published, it just came out in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. I'm going to go over that with you guys too, and discover that this unique sugar called NU5G Now, here's the thing. First of all, another thing people start going off automatically is, oh, sugar. They just said sugar. Well, don't get confused on that term sugar. There are tons of sugars. But yes, this is a sugar, but not as we would normally think about that particular term. Found in most mammals, but not in humans, and it triggers an immune response that in turn causes inflammation. Okay, so I'm thinking, well, they must have done this in some humans to see if it triggers an immune response and causes inflammation. Or did they? But most other carnivores, there we go again, aren't built to process the sugar, blah, 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 blah. So then it goes to this particular study by this Dr. Varkey, and I'm going to share these with you here in just a second. And it says, until now, all of our evidence linking this particular sugar or gene to cancer was circumstantial or indirectly predicted from somewhat artificial experimental setups. So up until now, well, here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and give you a spoiler alert. This study was actually still artificial experimental setup because, number one, it was done in mice. And one of the things that cracks me up when I started reading this post is no one started out with the first statement that should be this: mice are not meat eaters. So here is one of the things that I oftentimes try to explain to people, the fallacy of science, and people claim that banner all the time. When you're thinking about particular studies and their impact and their information on you, you have to think, number one, does that study me? Does it study you? Does it try to at least mimic in the lab, something that would apply to you in your life? And the answer is the vast majority do not. Number two, the thing is they're using mice that are in a cage. Their environmental inputs are dynamically different than all the things that humans have. We're not mice. They're fed a diet that they don't eat. Then they also don't tell you in this particular, well, I guess they do maybe a little bit down below, is that these mice were actually genetically modified. So they manipulated the actual birth and species of this particular mice to remove a certain gene to make this able to be tested. So it's completely artificial. It's completely experimental. It's not mimicking, as we can see here, the exact situation in humans. It's really one of those kind of things where people don't seem to pick up on these words that absolutely throw people off into tailspins. And so then in bold things, increases spontaneous cancers in mice. First of all, it's not spontaneous. They're inducing this particular reaction in these mice that aren't us, that are eating a diet that they don't eat. And so it goes on to say when humans eat a diet that includes lots of red meat. Okay, well, what is lots of red meat? Well, the thing for me is this. No one should be eating lots of red meat, just like you shouldn't be eating 10 pounds of carrots a day because it will turn your skin orange. Well, the thing about it is that it goes on here more to say the sugar molecule triggers the immune system to constantly produce antibodies to fight it off. Well, guess what? No matter what you eat, your body is going to mount an immunological response and create antibodies. That's what it does. The first thing anything goes into the human body, the body goes, is this self? If it's not, it starts a whole process of tagging it with all kinds of other molecules and proteins, immunoglobulins and things like that as directives to instruct the body on what to do with it, where to allocate it, and how to metabolize it. So again, it's building a narrative here that I find is very misdirective. So then back here it says this leads to chronic inflammation. Well, all kinds of things are chronic inflammation. The key is to come to a place of living life in balance. It's income and bills. It's supply side and demand side economics. The body has both of those. So when we're coming down to this particular study, and I'm looking at this blog post referencing that study, it says the final proof in humans will be much harder to come by. Well, absolutely it will be. But on a more general note, well, hold on a second. I thought we were being, until now and specific and mimicking, but okay, we're going to be general. It helps to explain potential connections. Well, hold on a second. If these are potential things, why the heck are we saying science finally discover exactly? Well, these are the terms that suck people in, and then people just only remember the headline. And of course, moderate amounts of red meat can be a source of good nutrition for young people. Well, why just young people? It's actually good for a lot of people. And we hope that our work will eventually lead the way to practical solutions for this catch-22. Well, the thing is then this button-up statement here is if for some reason you believe eating red meat every day, even if it's grass-fed, isn't a bad thing, now you have proof. Sorry, meat eaters, humans just aren't built to be true carnivores. Well, of course we're not. We're not even minor carnivores. Consuming animal flesh does not make thee a carnivore. So again, remember guys, this is a blog filled with all kinds of other noise and confusion and links and fun stuff like that. So now that I've covered my opinion on that, let me go ahead and talk to you a little bit about this study here. This is actually coming out of UC San Diego. Here's the actual publication on it. And discussing it. Well, one of the things is about this particular NEU 5G C particular sugar is that it's correct. It's one of those kind of things where you have to understand, and I'm not going to get too sciencey about this particular one it does, but you can look it up. It's all over the place. The thing is that it also is in fish. So they'll actually talk about it when it comes to meat, but it's also in fish. So here's the download. that particular sugar is not made by humans. It's actually consumed in the diet. It's transported into our cells. It's actually, we have one really close to it. It's just off by one oxygen molecule. But the thing about it is that this particular molecule does come exogenously, or from things that we actually consume, and it does get inside of our cells. So do all kinds of other things. That's the whole point, is to get them intracellularly so we can actually utilize them or have them do their deal. But at the end of the day, if we're going to pick on this particular sugar molecule, we have to also pick on all sources of where it comes from, not just beef and pork and lamb and things like that. It's actually even found in fish eggs. It's found in fish in trace amounts as well. And that's actually established by the same gentleman who actually published this particular study, and it talks about it, and you can go to PubMed and you can look up this particular study and it'll talk about it there. The other thing is, here's another one. So when you talk about the human uptake and incorporation of these immunogenic non-human dietary compounds, you have to take it in a broad context of understanding what and how the body does that, okay? So when it really comes down to it, articles and blogs like that are meant to be sensationalized, to drive traffic, and to get people engaged. It's what they're designed to do. They're not designed to convey true understanding of these particular things, and it oftentimes pushes the understanding of science farther away because people don't realize what they're being told is slanted or pushed in a direction just to produce traffic and subscribers and fun stuff like that. So anyhow, when you're taking a look at these particular posts, you want to do a couple of things. Number one, read them for what they are. They're a blog. Then go to references like this one here of what it is, and actually read the entire thing for yourself. The next thing is you want to go and look and understand more about that particular molecule from a standpoint and how it applies in human physiology, not lab mice and rats, especially ones that have been genetically modified, especially ones that are being force-fed a diet that they don't even normally eat. So to me, it makes perfect sense when it comes to ruling out these type of studies as applicable in the human body. Now, of course, is there some correlation? Is there some linked? Yes. But the take home is this. All humans are dynamic individuals, okay? One of the things we've also shown, not just in rats, because they can't do this, but in humans, is the anti-tumoral and anti-cancer effects of things like, changes in the diet, prayer, meditation, things that you can't get lab rats to actually do. So again, it's that balance, what you have influence on the body versus what you do to stem and thwart the onslaught of these type of things that we expose ourselves to. The main thing is to understand that it's all about balance. And so at the end of the day, be mindful of these particular studies and headlines and things like that. So what I think about that particular article, it's a blogger. They're reporting on a particular scientific study that does not conclusively do anything when it comes to telling us what the effects are of that particular sugar molecule on humans, our physiology. It doesn't take into account the fact that we are far more dynamic than that. We have a lot of different environmental inputs, both good and harmful. And we have to take all those things into consideration when trying to make a decision. Should we apply this type of mindset or thought process of this blog as to mine? Maybe I should reevaluate if I should eat red meat or not. So at the end of the day, arm yourself with education and realize that, again, it's one of those kind of things that doesn't just apply to everybody blanketly when it applies to mice. So until next time, let's live life in balance.